My parents flew in a husband from Delhi for my 25th birthday. I'm staring at him across our dining room table right now. Priyanka, meet Rohit. Dad announced like he was introducing a business partner, not the man they expect me to marry. The guy looks as uncomfortable as I feel, fidgeting with his pressed shirt while Mom beams like she just solved world hunger. Happy birthday, Beta, Mom chirped, placing a garland around my neck. We have the best gift for you. I should have seen this coming. The hushed phone calls to India. Dad's recent obsession with settling down. The way they'd change the subject whenever I mentioned Jason. But sitting here watching this stranger's nervous smile, I felt my world tilt sideways. Mom, can I talk to you in the kitchen? My voice stayed steady somehow. Rohit cleared his throat. Perhaps I should stay, Dad commanded. You're family now. Family. The word hit like a slap. I excused myself and walked to the kitchen on shaking legs, my phone already buzzing with Jason's text. Still on for dinner tonight? How do you tell the man you love that your parents just imported your replacement? The kitchen felt smaller with Mom's defensive stance filling it. She stood by the stove, arms crossed, ready for battle. You didn't even ask me, I whispered. Ask you. Her voice rose. We raised you for 25 years. We know what's best. I have a boyfriend, Mom. You know this. That American boy. She waved dismissively. What future is there? Different culture, different food, different everything. You think love is enough. It should be. Love fades, Beta. Family, community, shared values, these last forever. I heard Dad's voice from the dining room, speaking Hindi with Rohit, probably discussing my dowry like I was livestock. The thought made my stomach churn. Rohit is good boy, Mom continued. Engineer from good family. His father owns software company in Bangalore. Very successful. I don't care if he owns Google, Mom. I won't marry him. Her face hardened. You will meet him properly. Give him chance. That's all we ask. But I knew better. In our family, giving a chance meant wedding planning. My phone buzzed again. Jason, everything okay? You sound stressed in your last text. I stared at the message, then at Mom's expectant face. Fine. One dinner. But that's it. Mom's smile returned. You'll see, Beta. Sometimes parents know better than children. Rohit turned out to be exactly what Mom ordered. Polite, educated, and completely wrong for me. We sat in an upscale Indian restaurant while he explained his 5-year plan with the enthusiasm of a PowerPoint presentation. I'm looking to expand into American markets, he said, cutting his paneer meticulously. My father thinks marriage to Indian-American girl would help with cultural bridge. At least he was honest about the business arrangement. What about love? I asked. He paused, fork halfway to his mouth. Love comes after marriage. My parents had arranged marriage, 42 years now. Very happy. But what if it doesn't come? Then we have partnership. Respect. Children to focus on. He shrugged like discussing the weather. Western idea of romantic love is very Hollywood. Real life is different. I thought about Jason's laugh, the way he looked at me like I was magic. What if I told you I'm already in love with someone else? Rohit's expression didn't change. Your father mentioned this. But attraction passes. Good marriage is about compatibility, not passion. The words felt like ice water. I excused myself to the bathroom and called Jason. Hey babe, how's the birthday dinner? Terrible. My parents want me to marry this guy from India. Silence. Then, what? They flew him here. For me. Like a delivery. Priya, that's insane. You can't be serious. I wish I wasn't. Tears burned my eyes. I don't know what to do. Come to my place. We'll figure this out. I can't just leave. He's still here. Then tell them no. You're 25, not 15. They can't force you to marry anyone. But he didn't understand Indian families. The guilt, the expectations, the way no could mean losing everyone you'd ever loved. I have to go, I whispered. Priya, wait. I hung up and returned to the table, where Rohit was showing Dad pictures on his phone. Very nice house, Dad was saying. Good neighborhood in Bangalore. Bangalore. They expected me to move to India. The next 2 weeks became a war of attrition. Every morning, Mom would mention Rohit's good qualities. Every evening, Dad would discuss the practical benefits of the match. Rohit himself sent daily texts with facts about his life, like he was compiling a husband resume. Meanwhile, I was dying inside. Jason's confusion turned to hurt, then to anger. He couldn't understand why I didn't just refuse outright. It's not that simple, I tried to explain during our lunch break at Google. We sat in the cafeteria, but I barely touched my salad. It is that simple. Say no. And lose my family? They're asking you to lose me instead. He was right, but the truth felt like choosing between air and water. That evening, I found Dad in his study, reviewing restaurant receipts. Business had been slow lately. I'd noticed the worry lines around his eyes, the way he'd started working longer hours. Dad, we need to talk. He looked up, removing his reading glasses. About Rohit? He's very impressed with you. I won't marry him. The words hung in the air like smoke. Dad's face went through several expressions before settling on disappointment. Priyanka, you're my smartest child. But sometimes intelligence makes people think they know better than their elders. This isn't about intelligence. It's about my life. Your life. He stood up, voice rising. Who paid for your education? Who supported you through college? Who helped you get a job at Google? You think your life belongs only to you. The guilt hit exactly where he aimed it. Every opportunity I'd had, every advantage, they'd sacrificed for it all. That doesn't mean I owe you my marriage. In our culture, marriage isn't just about two people. It's about families, traditions, continuation of values. You think love with that boy will survive when you have nothing in common. We have plenty in common. Like what? He doesn't speak Hindi. Doesn't understand our customs. What will your children learn? What culture will they have? I wanted to argue, but his words touched a fear I'd been hiding. Jason was wonderful, but sometimes I felt caught between worlds with him. When I cooked Indian food, he'd compliment it, but never truly appreciate the memories each spice carried. When I talked about Diwali or explained why I touched my parents' feet for blessings, I saw confusion in his eyes. I need time to think, I said finally. Dad's expression softened slightly. Think all you want, Beta. But remember, some decisions can't be undone. Some bridges, once burned, cannot be rebuilt. The breaking point came during Anita's visit from Stanford. My younger sister always spoke her mind, and she took one look at the family tension and exploded. This is ridiculous, she announced at dinner, gesturing with her fork. You can't force Priya to marry some random guy from India. Rohit is not random, Mom protested. His family, I don't care if his family owns Bollywood. It's 2025, not 1925. Arjun, my older brother, shot Anita a warning look. As a doctor, he'd always been the perfect son, never challenging, never disappointing. Sometimes tradition exists for good reasons, he said carefully. What reasons? Anita demanded. Because love marriages don't work? Because Indian culture is so fragile it can't survive one person choosing their own spouse. Because family harmony matters, Dad said firmly. Because some of us remember where we came from. The implication was clear. I was forgetting my roots, abandoning my heritage for American individualism. But Anita wasn't done. What about Priya's happiness? Doesn't that matter at all? Happiness comes from doing your duty, Mom replied. From building something lasting, not chasing fleeting emotions. That's your happiness, not hers. I watched this argument like a tennis match, everyone talking about me like I wasn't there. Finally, I stood up. Stop. My voice cut through their debate. All of you, just stop. The table fell silent. I'll give you an answer in 1 week, I said. But I make this decision. Not the family, not tradition, not duty. Me. Dad's face darkened. And if your decision disappoints us? The threat was subtle but clear. Choose wrong and lose your family. Then that's a consequence I'll have to live with. I left the table and called Jason. Can you come over? I need to tell them about us. Jason arrived within 30 minutes, still in his work clothes. He'd met my parents a few times at casual gatherings, but never as my boyfriend. Never as competition for their plans. The introduction was arctic. Mom, Dad, you remember Jason? We've been dating for 2 years. Silence stretched like a held breath. Finally, Dad spoke. Dating is not marriage. No, it's not. But it could be. Jason stepped forward, hand extended to Dad. Mr. Sharma, I know this is unexpected. Dad didn't take his hand. Unexpected is one word for it. I love your daughter, Jason continued, dropping his hand but maintaining eye contact. I respect her intelligence, her culture, her family. I want to learn more about your traditions. Learning about traditions is not the same as living them, Mom said coldly. What do you know about raising Indian children? About maintaining our language, our festivals, our values. Jason faltered slightly. I'm willing to learn. We can figure it out together. Figure it out. Dad's voice was sharp. You think our heritage is something to figure out? Something you can Google. I saw Jason's jaw tighten. He was trying so hard to be respectful, but my parents were determined to make this impossible. Maybe I should go, he said quietly. Maybe you should, Dad agreed. No. I grabbed Jason's arm. You stay. This concerns you too. Dad's eyes flashed. Nothing concerns him. He is not family. Neither is Rohit. Rohit understands who he is, where he belongs, what his duties are. And Jason understands who I am, what I need, what makes me happy. Happiness, Mom said the word like it tasted bitter. You think happiness lasts? You think it pays bills or raises children or cares for aging parents? I think it matters, I shot back. I think loving someone who sees me as an equal matters more than someone who sees me as a duty. The words hung in the air like a challenge. Jason squeezed my hand, silently supporting me. Dad stood up slowly. You've made your choice then. I've made my choice. Then you live with consequences. But don't come crying to us when your American dream becomes American nightmare. He walked out. Mom followed without a word, leaving me and Jason alone in the dining room with the remnants of dinner growing cold. That went well, Jason said dryly. I burst into tears. The next morning brought an unexpected visitor. Uncle Vikram, Dad's younger brother. He owned a small tech consulting firm and had always been the more liberal family member. Priya, he said, settling into our living room chair. Your father is very upset. I know, but maybe that's not entirely a bad thing. I looked up, surprised. Uncle Vikram glanced around nervously, then leaned forward. Can I tell you something in confidence? About family business? My stomach dropped. What about it? Your father, he's in trouble. Real trouble. The restaurants, they're not doing well. COVID hurt business, and now with inflation, rising costs. He shook his head. He owes a lot of money. How much? 200,000. Maybe more. The number hit like a physical blow. No wonder Dad had been working longer hours, looking so stressed. Rohit's family, Uncle Vikram continued, they offered to help. Investment in restaurants, partnership opportunities. But only if marriage happens. My engagement wasn't about tradition or culture. It was about money. Why are you telling me this? Uncle Vikram sighed. Because I think you deserve to know the truth. And because... He hesitated. Because maybe there's another way. What do you mean? Your job at Google. Your salary is good, yes? And your boyfriend, he has his own business. I nodded, confused. What if you could help family differently? What if you could save restaurants without marrying Rohit? The idea was so simple it took my breath away. Dad would never accept money from me. Not as charity. As business investment. You buy partial ownership, become partner. Use your tech skills to modernize operations, create online presence, delivery systems. Uncle Vikram's eyes lit up. Indian restaurants run by Indian American with Silicon Valley experience could be very successful. But would Dad agree? If alternative is bankruptcy, he might not have choice. Uncle Vikram left me with a folder of financial documents and a dangerous seed of hope. Maybe I could save my family without sacrificing my future. That evening, I called a family meeting. Everyone gathered in the living room. Mom, Dad, Arjun, even Anita via FaceTime from Stanford. I know about the restaurants, I said without preamble. Dad's face went white. Vikram had no right, he had every right. This is my family too. I pulled out the financial documents. 200,000 in debt. 3 months behind on loan payments. The Fremont location is about to foreclose. Mom's hand flew to her mouth. Even through the screen, I could see Anita's shocked expression. So this is why you need Rohit's family money, I continued. The marriage isn't about tradition. It's about bailout. Priya, Dad's voice was strained. It's not that simple. Actually, it is. I opened my laptop and projected my screen onto the TV. I've been working on something. For the past 3 days, I'd barely slept. Instead, I'd been creating a complete business plan for modernizing Sharma family restaurants. Market analysis, competitive research, technology integration strategies, financial projections. Online ordering system, I explained, clicking through slides. Social media marketing. Delivery partnerships. Updated point-of-sale systems. Customer loyalty programs. I looked directly at Dad. I can turn your 3 restaurants into a regional chain. The room was silent except for my presentation continuing in the background. But I need 3 things, I said. First, you make me equal partner. Not silent investor, not helpful daughter. Equal partner with equal say in business decisions. Dad's jaw tightened, but he nodded slowly. Second, you stop trying to marry me off to solve your problems. I'll help the family business, but I won't sacrifice my personal life for it. And third, Mom asked quietly, you give Jason a real chance. Get to know him without prejudice. Judge him on who he is, not what he represents. Arjun was the first to speak. The business plan looks solid. Revenue projections are conservative, but realistic. This could work, Anita added from the screen. Priya knows the tech industry, she knows marketing. And she knows our food. All eyes turned to Dad. He stared at the TV screen, showing my financial projections, jaw working silently. Finally, what about Rohit? I'll tell him the truth. That I'm grateful for his interest, but I'm not available. His family will be offended. His family will understand that business partnerships shouldn't depend on forced marriages. Another long silence. Then Dad surprised me. Show me the technology systems you want to implement. For the next 2 hours, we went through every detail of my plan. Dad asked sharp questions about costs, implementation timelines, customer acquisition strategies. It was the first time in years he'd talked to me like a business equal instead of a daughter to be managed. By the end, even Mom was nodding along. Okay, Dad said finally. We try your way. But Priya, if this fails, if family business doesn't survive, then we discuss arranged marriage again. It wasn't perfect, but it was a start. Telling Rohit was easier than expected. When I explained the family's financial situation and my alternative solution, he actually seemed relieved. To be honest, he said over coffee, I wasn't entirely sure about this arrangement either. I agreed mostly to please my parents. Are you interested in business partnership instead? Your tech background could be valuable for the restaurant systems. His eyes lit up. Actually, yes. That sounds more appealing than marriage. We shook hands like business partners, and I felt a weight lift from my shoulders. The real test came 2 weeks later when Jason joined our family for Diwali. I'd prepared him as much as possible, teaching him about the festival, the customs, the significance of each ritual. He arrived with flowers for Mom and a bottle of good whiskey for Dad, both carefully chosen based on my coaching. More importantly, he'd spent time learning basic Hindi phrases and researching Indian business customs. Namaste, Uncle, he said to Dad, hands pressed together in proper greeting. Dad's eyebrows rose slightly, but he returned the greeting. Throughout the evening, Jason asked genuine questions about the festival, helped with decorations, and even attempted to eat Mom's spiciest curry without complaint. He was trying so hard it was almost painful to watch. But the moment that changed everything came during the actual Diwali puja. As we lit the diyas, oil lamps, Jason asked quietly about the meaning behind each prayer. We pray for prosperity, for wisdom, for family health, Mom explained. Would it be appropriate for me to pray too? For Priya's family. The sincerity in his voice was unmistakable. Mom glanced at Dad, then nodded. Of course. Family prayers welcome all who come with good heart. As Jason stood there, eyes closed, lips moving in silent prayer for people who'd barely accepted him, I saw my parents' expression soften. After dinner, Dad pulled Jason aside for what I was sure would be an interrogation. Instead, they talked for an hour about business, about family responsibilities, about Jason's consulting work. "He's not what I expected," Dad admitted to me later that night. "What did you expect?" Typical American boy. No respect for family, no understanding of duty. Dad paused. "But he asks good questions. And he clearly loves you very much." It was the closest thing to approval I'd heard from him. 3 months later, our first modernized restaurant location reopened with a grand celebration. The new systems worked perfectly. Online orders poured in, delivery partnerships brought in suburban customers, and our social media following grew daily. More importantly, the family was working together. Dad handled operations, I managed technology and marketing, Arjun helped with financial planning, and even Anita contributed design ideas from college. Jason had become an unofficial consultant, offering business advice and helping with system integrations. His tech background meshed perfectly with my marketing expertise. "Revenue is up 40% from last year," I announced at our monthly family meeting. "We're on track to pay off all debts within 18 months. Dad smiled, really smiled, for the first time since I could remember. "And the second location?" Mom asked. "Opens next month. I've got 3 more investors interested in franchising opportunities." The success was sweeter because we'd built it together, as a family, without sacrificing anyone's dreams. That evening, Jason and I sat on my apartment balcony, looking out over Fremont's lights. "No regrets?" he asked. "About what?" "Choosing the hard way. Fighting for both your family and us instead of just picking one." I thought about it seriously. The past few months had been exhausting, building a business while navigating family dynamics while maintaining a relationship. But sitting here, knowing my parents were finally getting to know the man I loved, knowing the restaurants were thriving, knowing I hadn't had to choose between my heritage and my heart. "No regrets," I said. "Sometimes the hard way is the only way that lets you keep all the pieces of yourself." Jason kissed my temple. "Your parents want us to come to dinner tomorrow. Your mom's making her special biryani. For you specifically?" She said, and I quote, "Jason needs to learn proper biryani appreciation if he's going to be family." I laughed, warmth spreading through my chest. "If he's going to be family, is that a proposal?" Jason teased. "It's recognition." Which, from my parents, is basically the same thing. 6 months later, Dad walked me down the aisle in a ceremony that blended American traditions with Indian customs. Rohit attended as a business partner and friend. Uncle Vikram gave a speech about love conquering all obstacles. Mom cried happy tears. And as Jason and I exchanged vows in both English and Hindi, I realized I'd never had to choose between 2 worlds after all. I'd simply created a new one that had room for everything I loved. The restaurants continued to thrive. Our family grew closer. And I learned that sometimes the best solutions aren't about choosing sides. They're about building bridges strong enough to support everyone you care about. Pause here. What would you do if your family tried to arrange your marriage? Would you fight them directly, try to find a compromise, or accept their choice? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Looking back, I'm grateful my parents pushed me toward that impossible choice, because it forced me to discover that impossible choices sometimes aren't impossible at all. They just require more creativity, more patience, and more love than anyone thinks they have. But maybe that's what family is really about, not blindly following tradition or completely abandoning it, but finding ways to honor the past while building the future you actually want to live in. If you've ever felt caught between 2 worlds, between family expectations and personal dreams, share this story with someone who'll understand. Sometimes knowing you're not alone in the struggle makes all the difference.